So you guys, Nigel and I love to talk before we do these shootings. And we have discovered that we should be so different in every single way. Our age is different, our gender is different, our race is different. Yet, what happens? Somehow we met. Yeah.
Come together.
We vibe for sure. So today we want to talk about a few things that are really important. Number one is the normalization of drugs. So I was telling Nigel, I got a new phone and I listened to Pandora. I've got the, small subscription so I don't have to listen to the ads. Well, I forgot my Apple ID and long story short, it expired. I couldn't renew it for a couple of weeks. And I was blown away by the number of drug ads. And not only are they normalizing the drugs and the fact that, it's, you're going to take this, you're going to take that. Ask your doctor about this. Nigel, they're normalizing disease as well. Like cancer rates are expected to be 1 in 2 before long. They're more than 1 in 3 now. And so it's almost like when the ads hit me, it made me realize they're almost saying like, well, when this happens to you, you're going to talk to your doctor about this drug and that drug. You see what I'm saying?
That's interesting you put it like that, because there's in the world of conspiracy, there's a phrase called predictive programming, and it's I'm sure you've heard of like all the things that like the Simpsons ended up predicting and stuff like
Everything.
that. Every time's been right, and it's like, how is this cartoon? And it's like, from the conspiracy theorist lens, it's not as much, the people who are writing the Simpsons have like oracles and have access to it's really like in order to psychologically prepare a population for whether it's like a natural disaster or a world event or something, you introduce it to them first this way, so when it becomes their reality, they're more susceptible to accepting it as their reality, because you've already it's like a conditioning essentially. So before we make the whole world sick, we have to tell you, mentally
this can happen.
So
right.
when it happens to you, you're not in outrage. You're like, well, the TV person did say I might get sick, so that's kind of a thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and it is true because you look. I mean, of course, they call it conspiracy, but that's just a label so that people won't believe it. But a lot of these agendas are predicted and practiced for years and decades before they actually happen. So, on that happy note, but people can fight back. It's not normal. It's not normal to get cancer. It may happen. It happened to me many years ago. It may happen, but it's not normal. It shouldn't happen. And so we work really hard to bring content to help people to realize what kinds of things are toxic around them that contribute to this, how to get good food and herbs and things to support your body and help you stay healthy in the face of the processed food, the chemicals, the toxic environment, the chemtrails raining down on us, all the things.
Right. And it's really, it can be overwhelming, because that's one thing that I constantly complain about. Is like you kind of have to, we've normalized so much dysfunction and so much filth and crap that when you take away all that programming and you start to realize that a lot of stuff that we consider normal is actually very detrimental, it can be overwhelming. Like people can start to look at you weird, like, okay, like, this person, it's like everybody's doing it, so there can't be anything wrong with it. Well, no, that's not the case actually. A lot of people do a lot of things that are very wrong every day, so it's just up to voices like ours to combat that, to create a new normal. So Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And the hardest thing to confront is evil, because most people are good, and I have talked about the FIFA World Cup that's going on right now and how all these people from all over the world are coming together and being supportive of each other and having fun. We as a population, as humans, are basically good. There's bad apples, but the majority of people are good. And we don't want to believe that evil like that can be present. Surely they're not doing this on purpose.
Right.
It's like, I don't know what you call it, cognitive
dissonance.
Yes, dissonance. You can't put those two together because how could that even be happening? So it is hard to confront what's going on. I remember, so this was probably 20 years ago, I had a new patient and I'm educating. She lived in a country club subdivision that was a part of a big country club here in Atlanta, and just gorgeous, huge homes, everything. Well, when I started educating her about the toxins and about the, hey, it's not safe for her children to play on yards that have been treated with pesticides and weed killers, and she really she cried when she would drive through her neighborhood because she was seeing for the first time all the perfectly manicured lawns and all the little yellow flags, saying stay off. And it just never crossed her mind, because that's the other thing. People think we're being protected from these things, but we're really not.
That's deep, because I remember being in college, kind of having this. That's when I first got into conspiracy and this whole thing where you see the world a whole different way. And I remember just being really sad, almost crying. I'm like, is this really the world that we live in? The realization of it. And then that makes me think as well, all the people who would get upset with me because I would try to tell them about, and oh, that's you're a conspiracy theorist. Oh, shut up. We don't want to hear it. Oh, you're crazy. Da da da. And you start to put it together that the reason they're not upset at you, it's just they're avoiding that painful realization that you had. They're because once you realize what is going on, it is kind of depressing. So a lot of people will subconsciously avoid that by not thinking it's a reality, just because it makes life, at least in the short term, a little bit easier to go through.
Yeah, and it is, again, the World Cup thing has made me see, I've gotten so much pleasure just watching people enjoy each other and have fun. We don't have to stay in that.
Right.
But we do have to, you made them look.
Right.
You made them see something that was a blind spot for them prior. And yeah, you're right. It's not you. Don't shoot the messenger, know. It's difficult, but we need to know. We don't need to dwell in it, but we need to know.
Exactly.
And the other thing that really hit me is just division, how just ruthlessly division is pushed with all of us against anything that could possibly divide us. Politics, religion, whatever,
Yeah.
But deep down, we've got so much more in common than we have.
Right, but there's a power in division, divisiveness. So
That's what they say, divide and conquer, and
it's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
Yeah, which is even why I think that's why algorithm is so dangerous. I was telling you earlier about how I've been kind of off social media, so now I'm kind of hyper perceptive to how these things are affecting people, which can be hypocritical because it's kind of what I do for a living is create social media content. But at the same time, you start to realize, you've done this with me a couple times where you'll text me something and be like, oh my God, everybody's talking about this. And I'm like, I haven't
seen
heard
it.
anything about this. So social media kind of creates these echo chambers where it's like, because these phones know everything about you. They have all your information. So, and everybody's up. There's no shortage of narratives and content online. So these things figure out what you want to hear or what worldviews you're kind of susceptible to, and they spew them back out to you. And you can get lost into thinking this is the world, or it's really, no, this is your world. And that can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing, because when we're talking about divisiveness and stuff, you may see certain narratives online that only support your bias, but then there's somebody else on the other side of the coin. They're only getting content that supports their bias. So it's like, yeah, you got to be careful.
So it really goes down to we just have to get out in real life
and have real conversation, which is what this is.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to.
And that's one reason I've loved getting into the camping. It's getting too hot for me to go out in the van right now, but I'm looking forward to fall and getting back out again, because you meet people, they're outdoorsy, they have, you've got a lot of commonality with other people that are going to go out and camp. And it's just been a blast, but it does get you out. It gets you away from your phone. And I don't watch TV, which is why it really impressed upon me so much the drug ads, on Pandora when, when I lost the free thing or the ad-free feature. You do get desensitized to this stuff.
Yeah.
It happened years ago. So when I was coming along and a young adult, we were sort of hippie wannabes. I married right out of high school, and we were anti-establishment, I guess you could say. Hard for you to believe, I know, right. But that was it. And one of the things we just completely dismissed was television. We did not own a television. We didn't watch television. The stereo was the thing.
Right.
Here we are, just broke, 19 years old, in the Navy, no money, enlisted Navy, can't afford anything, but by God, we had a stereo.
Right.
And we didn't have furniture, but we had that stereo, and we bought bricks and boards and would set up, the platform to put the stereo on. And we just listened to music all the time. But we didn't watch any TV. So when we would come back to Atlanta to visit family, there would be, people just had TV on in the background a ton. And that was the era in the early to mid 70s. It was the era of spy shows and cop shows, and I guess it still is. Yeah, that never went away. But I just remember the first time, and I saw somebody shoot somebody else on TV, and I was like, oh my God, it just...
That's so funny.
You get desensitized to it.
There's so much gore, and yeah, that's crazy.
Yep. So, anyway, that happens.
Right.
The other subject we were going to talk about is data centers. It's been very heartwarming to me to see how people have been rising up, voting people out of office, showing up at city council meetings to fight data centers, and some of these cities are winning, which is great. There was going to be one built 7 miles away from my house, and there has been a lot of, it's been approved, but it's also stalled. And it's now the cat's out of the bag, people know about it. But tell the good people what you are involved in.
Yeah, so if you all are wondering what I do for a living other than create magnificent content with my Vitality Project, I'm actually a government employee. So Deb was asking me just about, how have you seen the conversation about data centers from your perspective? And I was letting her know that this is the most active and vocal by far. I've been working with the government for about 3 years, and this is by far the most active and involved I've seen the citizenry be in terms of protesting, showing up to commissioner meetings, letting their voice be heard. And there's a lot of pushback on this topic specifically, which I guess from a civic engagement standpoint, it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, good to see people coming out and letting their voices be heard. But it's also kind of like, okay, this is, if people are this vocal, there must be something there going on. And it's like, it's kind of it's the kind of thing where it's like, there's so much pushback. Who's actually a proponent for these data centers? And I was like, that's an interesting question to ask, because no one, in terms of like political candidates or people in office, is really like kind of being a vocal proponent for these things. But it's like somehow we're always talking about it. Like it's always on the agenda item being discussed. Kind of how you were saying how it's already been accepted, or I forgot. Like you were saying that they already approved it, but it's being held up. I think it was a similar thing where I'm at in DeKalb County. It's like, well, who's accepting it in the first place? You know, to even put it on the docket.
Yeah, and it's all going to these giant mega corporations, whether it's Meta or, the AI and
like
so forth.
Super 1%. It's just so obviously only benefiting the super wealthy 1% and just so not a benefit in any way. That's kind of why it's so heated, because it's just like there's like literally just zero benefit for the average person, unless you're like a 1% tech bro, then a data center is not going to benefit you in whatsoever. So.
And doesn't this kills me? It's like, okay, we've had global warming, and it could be true, I don't know, but we've had this crammed down our throats for so long.
Right.
You know where I'm going with this. And now here are these data centers that are just gobbling up electricity, gobbling up water, being proposed in places that don't have the aquifers to support it. And we're just destroying the environment for these things. Where are the voices for the environment? It's us, like regular people, are standing up and saying, this does not make sense.
Right. And it kind of reminds me of this thing you were showing me, the book with all the cognitive dissonance, how this goes on. Because it makes me think of like when the pandemic was here. It's like, oh, now we give a about people's health? It's like, like what? It's like, they will tell you something for years and years and years and years, and then they'll do something completely opposite to that, but they'll kind of do it on the sly, and it takes people with common sense and a voice to be like, wait a minute. So you've been telling me we've been putting fast food restaurants up on every corner in every city for X amount of years, and there's all these documentaries and people talking about the negative health effect, but now you care about our health so much that we have to run to the because we just don't want you guys to get sick. I'm like, really?
And here, where Nigel and I live in Metro Atlanta, Krispy Kreme donuts is a big deal, and they make these fresh, hot, glazed donuts. They were bribing people to get the shot.
I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah. Yep, Krispy Kreme was giving free donuts. You show your sticker, and you got free donuts. It's like, what?
Like, because this is good for my health. Well, then what do you think the donut is going to do to your health? Like, it makes no sense.
Well, and then you also, if we're going down the rabbit hole, we might as well go down the rabbit hole.
Okay.
I'm of the generation where television came along. Like when I was a little girl, you didn't have television. And I think we got a black and white TV when I was probably 6, maybe 7. And then the whole thing was, oh my God, TV is rotting our brains. And there's some truth to that.
Right.
But it was nothing. 3 channels, it went off at midnight, it came on, it was nothing like what we have now. And I think that if we're going down the rabbit hole, it's like we're also being conditioned to not think for ourselves. Where that you look at the rational, logical people that are around, and they're getting fewer and fewer in numbers, or, as we said before, they don't want to look at it.
Right.
They maybe even get apathetic about fighting against it because everything seems too big or whatever. But that's why we get out in the real world, and on social media, we're doing what we're doing. So the big takeaway from this, from watching this data center wave, sweep across the country, is that when people do stand up and show up and speak up, change can happen. Positive change can happen. And people are doing that, and many cities are scrapping projects. Now they're then being sued over it. But we just have to keep on and stand up for what's right. What was that movie, Ants or something like that?
Yes, oh my God, Ants is like prophetic.
Yeah, and I didn't see it, but what I've heard.
Ants? You never saw Ants? I guess you do that to me too about stuff. You never saw this? But no, it's basically just like a metaphor for society and like the 1%. It's like the grasshoppers. They hoard all this food to the point where they can't eat. And they're like, why don't we just give some to the ants? And it's like, you can't give them any hope at all, or else they'll because there's way more ants than there are grasshoppers, So it's like the 99% versus the 1%. And you watch it as a kid and you think, oh, this is a cool movie, and then you realize, oh, this is how the world works. Yeah. I'm an ant, and the grasshoppers have more money than they can ever think to do, and they're just literally keeping it from us because they want complete domination and control, and they know we can do so much with so little. They can't even risk us having like 2 pieces of food. We have to have none whatsoever.
But in the end, don't the ants rise
the ants
up?
Overcome. Yes, there is a positive ending. So,
and we can too.
Right.